This week on Gagging the Makeup Gods, we're going over the basics of airbrush makeup. Stenciling, makeup, the gun, the compressor, the whole shebang. I'm Acid Betty. Join me, won't you? Alright, Base Betties, we are going over the basics of airbrushing. And there are two parts to airbrushing. We have the compressor and we have the gun. Let's go over compressors. I used to travel with this cute little guy. It's like a beauty compressor. The problem though is it comes with a gun that is not necessarily what we want. As you can see, the tube just goes directly into the gun. And there is no, I don't know the technical name, but you can't control the amount of airflow that goes into this gun. It's just all or nothing. It's really cute and small to travel with. This is normally what they sell, like for foundations and things like that on those infomercials, but I would not suggest it. So don't get these to start because this will frustrate you, this little thing. Next up we have this little, what is it called? Iwata Studio Series. It is smaller in size. It's kind of heavy. But I have traveled with this bitch. She's pretty hardcore. You can see I've bent the handle. Maybe TSA has bent the handle. But this is a good start if you want to travel with this. It doesn't have a lot of power if you're doing full body stuff. And I'm gonna go over the PSI and the dBs. What's PSI and what's dB? We're gonna go over that. But you definitely want something with a little bit more. This is 40 PSI. So, PSIs. PSI is, what does it stand for? Something right here. I don't know what it stands for. But it's the pressure per susasa. The pressure sister intensely amazing. So it stands for, anyway, this is 40 PSI. I usually, if I'm doing my detail work, I will lower the pressure to 30 PSI. And when I'm doing, let's say like my collarbone and bigger areas, I will do 60 PSI. Now, if you want to do bigger areas, like full body work, you're gonna want more than 60 PSI, but those compressors are more expensive. So let me show you what I use right now. This is the girl that I use right now. She actually is smaller than the one that I used before, but the one I used before I used for like 10 years or so, and it had two tanks, one of the tanks busted, yada yada yada. So I got this bad boy. Now you can get something smaller. The reason why this looks so big is because it has this tank. Now what this tank does is it will put air into this tank, and then when this tank is up to, let's say 60 PSI, this turns off, and so it goes quiet. Kind of like a hybrid, you know, like a hybrid car when the car like turns off, you're like, did my car turn off? And then the car turns back on. That's what this does with the tank. It will turn back on when the pressure goes below what you need. So if I need 30, it's gonna put it all the way up, fill this tank up, and then once I need it, it will fill this air. Does that make sense? So you can get one without the tank. You can get just the compressor part, which will be a little bit cheaper, but it just means that this thing always runs. And that means it's louder. And that's the second part that you want to look for, which is dBs, which is decibels? I think it stands for decibels, which is how loud. How loud is this girl? How loud is she? Usually it doesn't really matter, but when I'm traveling and I'm in hotels, sometimes you really don't want to loud that go, 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 go thing going on when you're in a hotel room, even though I have done that. Funny story, when I Season 8, we premiered, no. Season 8 reunion. I don't know if the girls remember the electricity going out in the hotel. I think that was my fault because I plugged my compressor in. It's a smaller compressor, it was a different kind, and it made like a lot of noise and smoked, and then literally all the electricity went out in the hotel. So sorry, that was probably my fault. But the electricity came back and I did finish my face, and I was fearful that the loud noise, the loud decibels, dBs, were gonna give me away. And that would have sucked. But anyway, so you want something quiet with a low number if you want a quiet machine, but if it doesn't matter to you, don't worry about the dBs. Just worry about PSI. Make sure that the machine at least does 30 PSI, because that is what I use for details. And if you want to do more extreme, go up to 60 PSI. That is my suggestion. That is what we're gonna do. Now let's move forward. I'm gonna prep my face, and then we're gonna cut to me airbrushing, and we're gonna pretend like I'm in a rush, because I kind of am. So I'm going to do a real basic face and not use a lot of creams, which is what I went over last week, which you can hear. Let's link it here. So I'm gonna do a quick beat and show you what I do when my time is crunched and I want to utilize all of my airbrushing. So let's get to it. All right, before we start painting, we have to talk guns and paint. Let's talk the gun. I buy a gun every year or so, and I don't spend a lot of money. You can get a real fancy one, like a Ferrari one or something, but don't spend the money. You just want to make sure that the gun can press down and back, because those are the two mechanisms that we need. Pressing down gets the air, that's the control of the air, and pressing back is the control of the paint. And that pressing back pulls the needle back. I'll open the back of this. There's a needle here. I can show you. It goes all the way through. You want to make sure that this needle is clean. Cleaning is the most important part about this gun, other than also keeping the needle nice and straight, is that you want to keep it clean. What I suggest is, if you're doing water-based makeup, stick to one gun. If you're using waterproof makeup, which usually is alcohol-based, you want to use a separate gun. So you don't want to mix water-based and alcohol-based makeup, or with silicone-based makeup, because those will all get all gobbly-gobbly and messy and will really dirty the gun. So I like to use one gun for my water-based makeup, one gun for my alcohol-based makeup, and I don't use silicone-based makeup. I want to go over a little bit of the parts. So you have the front and back, I went over, right? The air, and then back is the paint. And then we have the nozzle. There's two parts in this nozzle. There's one that's that actually spreads the paint. So if you want a finer line, you can remove this. You want to be careful, because you have exposed the needle, and if this gets bent, you're screwed. You need a new needle or a new gun. Let's not do that. So when you've done that, just be careful, because the needle is now sticking back. Also though, that when you pull the needle back, which is what it's just doing, this is a great place to clean. If it clogs, sometimes that is where it's clogged. So you can take off just this little part, pull the needle back, and kind of clean that, and you're good. Now, the other part shows like the workings, and you don't ever need this unless you're cleaning the airbrush gun. We can get into that later if we're going into more advanced, but right now we're doing beginners, so just don't fuck with that. So the only thing I suggest is, if you want a finer line, you can take off that part, but again, be careful and don't lose the tip. Don't lose the nozzle, because that's crazy. Just don't. And also, if you notice, every time I go to around this area, I pull the needle back, because you don't want to bend that. If you bend that tip, you're screwed. Okay? So I cover everything. Don't mix water-based and alcohol to the gun. And you also want to make sure you get a gun that has the two pressing down for the air. I think that's it. Speaking of makeups, there's all these different kinds of brands. These are the ones that I utilize or use, and I'll tell you which one is my favorite. You have Vibe, which is a water-based makeup. This is great if you want to cover, fierce cover and color, and you want to be delicate with it. I don't utilize this makeup anyway, that's why I stuttered, because I'm a drag queen and I'm a dude and I'm very hardcore and I sweat a lot, and so I've just totally utilized the waterproof makeup. So the same brand that Vibe, they have Endura, which is a waterproof, what are they calling it? Alcohol-based airbrush paint. It's like waterproof. This is good. I utilized Endura, but then I landed on Pro Air. And Pro Air is what I use. Pro Air will release a lot of particles in the air. That is only quote-unquote negative. So I have a fan and something going, so it removes the paint in the air as I'm airbrushing. But Pro Air covers spheres. It has a huge range of colors. And this is what I use. And it is the waterproof Pro Air that I utilize. So that's what we're gonna use today. Pro Air is also where I get some of my amazing stencils that I'm gonna utilize today. You can also make your own stencils, which I have done before, which are really great. And I always usually at least cover one hand, because this will be the hand that covers the stencil, and I will spray and get the paint all up in it. And then when I have to get up and drag and have my nails out or my whatever, it is so hard to sometimes get that makeup off, especially when I'm in a tight time crunch like I am today. So I'm gonna have a glove. Okay, we are at 60 PSI, and just like your makeup, if you want vibrant colors, which I do, I'm gonna put down white first as my base, and then I'm gonna go darker colors from there. ST40 Pro Air. It's kind of like a contour color. I'm still at 60 PSI, so I'm spraying really wide and really big. Now I've lowered the PSI to 30. Now I used real shoddy old ears that I've probably painted 3 or 4 times. This is not what professionals do, but I'm doing it because why not? And not everybody can like use a fresh new expensive pair of ears. Oh, so I use mine over and over and over again. So we're gonna paint them. And if I have more paint, I will just pour it back in. Empty the gun of paint and do the next color. So I've rinsed the gun with 99% alcohol, so it runs clear. Alright, so I laid down the stencil, right? Now to blend the edges, I will take this and a blend. And then also a fun little trick, as you can see I messed up here. I'll take my foundation brush, or what I use to apply foundation. And it's gone. Don't ask me how or what, it just is. Did I do it? Bam! Alright, fucked up the nose, but alright. So I'm done airbrushing. I think I'm going to go back in, finish my contour and do my eyes. Glitter and all that stuff. I'll film it, why not? Look how dirty my glove is. This is why I wear a glove. Alright, I'm gonna let the air freshen up a little bit. I'll be right back. And this is concealer. This is concealer that I'm putting on my eye right now. And this is Sunshine Unicorn Skin from Acid Betty Cosmetics. It's biodegradable glitter in an aloe vera glitter base that I am just painting on. Boop, boop, boop. Boop. Thank you all so much for joining me this week on Gagging the Makeup Gods. Please sound off in the comments and let me know what else you would like me to cover, go over. Y'all are pretty smart and know pretty much everything about makeup. So let me know and I will listen. Subscribe. See you next week. Bye, y'all. Acid Betty out.
Thank you so much for watching. Please, please, please subscribe. Thank you. See you next week.